Hello, welcome back. If you don't know me, I'm Ethan. Welcome back to the Ethan Experience, and I have our first episode one guest, Anthony
Yeah.
Tan again. So today is 22nd of September, 2025, and we're officially starting our second year of medicine at University of Manchester.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good time for us to talk about what success and failure means to us. Before that, we're gonna add a segment of at the start. Just can talk about anything that you want to either complain or just share that's recently happened in your life.
Yeah. What I want to complain is the British railway system. It is very historical, but it hasn't been improving that much in the past century, I guess. The delay problem is like insanely bad. I was in London last night,
Mm-hmm.
and then like half of the train to Manchester has been cancelled.
Oh, why is that?
I think it's because of like there's a disruption of the overhead
Mm.
electrical system, and then they don't have enough staff to fill all the trains, so that's why a lot of trains are cancelled. And then my train isn't cancelled, like luckily, but it's delayed for quite a long while. So I spent basically 6 hours traveling from Cambridge to Manchester. It's like me flying to Dubai almost. Like,
Did you get any compensation at least?
well, I think like partially maybe. I'm not
Okay.
too sure. Yeah.
So I experienced delay, but I don't know. Like, I think the overall British system is quite good. Like, it's quite on time when it is. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times it is on time when it starts, at least. Like, if you're at the first station, and then there'll be some delays. But
Yeah.
then I was in London as well, and I took the train up to Manchester, and then my train had to like stop in the middle because it apparently they need to like restart the whole train. And
What?
overall, my train got delayed by an hour. But then I got
Oh.
like, I paid 34 quid for my train, but I got a compensation of £32.
Really?
Yeah, from Aventi
What?
West. So
Really?
shout out to Aventi West. It's actually quite good.
So £2
no.
for the ride.
Yeah,
Yeah,
£2
£2
for
for the
a ride up. I'll take it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully I'll get 32 back. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I think now, I guess, yeah, jumping to our segment, I thought we'll just start with what is your current definition of success and failure?
I guess success and failure is almost like interlinked.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my current definition of success is more like about being able to achieve what matters to you or what you emphasize, like what your life emphasize on. And basically failure is not being able to achieve whatever that you want achieved.
Okay, so yours is more outcome based, because like if you don't achieve it, then you don't count it as a success.
I guess you're not able to do something that matters to you, then maybe it's failure to me.
What do you mean by able to do something? As in, can you give me an example?
Like, well, let's say I want myself to work hard on a particular project, but end up I'm not, you know, doing as much work as I was expecting myself to do. So I would consider that as a failure to me. So it's not necessarily outcome based, but just not being able to do whatever I expect myself to do or what I envision myself.
What if you try your best, but it's not what you've envisioned? Where does that lie in your book?
Yeah, that's a good question. I will say, like, I used to think that's absolute failure, like not being able to achieve what I envisioned myself to do. But I guess as you grew older and get more experience in life, you start to shift it more to the middle. Like it's neither success or failure. There is a very I would now think there's two pole, like absolute success and absolute failure, but there's a lot of middle ground. A lot of things can actually lie there, like lie in the middle without being particularly successful or particularly bad in terms of the outcome wise. So I would say, it depends.
I think I get what you mean, because I think my definition of success and failure also used to be like a coin flip.
Yeah.
It's like there's only two
Yeah.
sides, but now it's like a pole, as you said. There's a lot of gray area in the middle, but I think my definition is quite different from yours. I feel like mine is more. Okay, you know what? I think there's an idealistic definition for me that I'm trying to work towards, which is if I can, like, if I just do my best, like I give my maximum effort um towards something, and even if I, then that's the success, because um that's the only thing I can control. So I feel like I want to try to measure my success based on the things I can control, which is my effort. So if I give my all my effort and without any regret, then I feel that's a success. But I think in reality it's still tough. Like if I, let's say I'm revising for a test and then I don't get the score I want,
Yeah.
it's still gonna be a bit deflating. So I think in reality, I think I'm still affected by the outcome, which is something I can partially not control. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I get what you mean. Like idealistically, I want to put all of my focus into the progress, which is the things that I can personally control and change, and not put any of my emotions into how the outcome affects me. But I think at the same time, if you care about the outcome of a particular event, let's say exam, let's say whatever, if you cared enough, you will be, let's say, negatively affected by the result that you are not looking for. So I would say maybe realistically, it's more about the ratio between how much you care about the progress and how much you care about the outcome. Because I think, to me, I don't think I could ever put all of my focus just into progress without any acknowledgement of the result. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, results are important. I think they're a really good evidence
Yeah.
of your hard work, and I guess they also serve as a just like a flag, I guess, or just like a measurement of where you're at and maybe
Yeah.
what things you need to change. So there's a lot of lessons that can be learned from, quote unquote, like failing. But I really, I think, I mean, growing up, I guess I had a lot of bad like in bad definition, or I guess because of growing up in Taiwan, like a very East Asian culture,
Yeah.
like in Chinese culture, it's very like, oh, you need to get like 100, or like if you get like 95, and the first thing people, like your parents or the teacher, is like ask you is like, why did, how did you miss the other 5 points, right? So I think there's a lot of emphasis on that, and I think growing up I had to relearn what success and failure means to me and not be so hard on myself, because I realized I carry a lot of that into my maybe my first degree in chemistry. Yeah. So um and do you and I think this kind of transitions to the topic I want to talk about, which is when I was doing my chemistry degree, I was really hard on myself on my grades, to the point where like I feel like I think I got like a C or a B on a report once, and I really feel like I wanted like feel like my life was ending. Like it's a bit dramatic, but when all your values, like all the validation you have of yourself, is kind of based on that grade, it can be very devastating to your ego and to your mental. And I think then I actually got COVID afterwards, and I feel like during that time when I was really down on myself, and I feel like afterwards I kind of saw it in a bigger picture, where like success to me isn't just about what I'm doing like career wise or it's like studying wise. It's a very large circle that contains health, your relationship with other people, and everything. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I guess my achievement source, or the definition of success, is like very, very narrow. It's basically your achievement in school, or some of your achievement in your extracurricular. For me, it's tennis or music. That will be it. So if I do well in school, I'm really successful. If I didn't do that well in school, I'm failing. But as you grew older, I guess I have a larger appreciation of stuff that matters to me. It's like, let's say, health, like what you've mentioned, and also like your relationship, like with your partner, with your parents, with friends. And there's so much that matters to everybody, that to me right now is more about maintaining a good balance between the relationship, your own health, your let's say your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, and also what you're doing professionally for us is medicine, and in other aspects of life, like let's say tennis for both of us. So I guess to me right now is more about maintaining a good balance instead of excelling in any one part, but letting go of everything else.
Yeah. And I think while listening to you, I think of how the rise of social media makes success look very skewed, because when you're on social media, you're always looking at what that particular person thrives at the
Yeah.
best. Like that's their best, like where they're willing to put out. Like if you're looking at a professional tennis player, like when you're scrolling, you're like, oh, for example, you scroll through a professional tennis player, they're like the best, one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And then the next one is like, oh, they're maybe a model, and they're like, they have like the best physique in the world. And the next one is like, we follow a lot of medical students or doctors, and they're like the best in their field. And I think it can be very, I think I also I struggle with, like, because I think it's very easy to compare yourself to someone's best, and maybe you're and what success looks like doesn't always, it's a really a blend, of everything. And I was watching this video by Mark Manson. He's one of the authors that he wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I don't know if you heard of that one.
I've not, but
Yeah. So he's and he talks about how, look, maybe a very successful athlete can, not have the best love life. A love guru can also maybe not have the best health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I think is growing up, I think it's very, especially when you're like, it's so easy to compare yourself to others. And I think as I grew up, I try to kind of find a balance between that and also comparing myself to my younger self, and just kind of working toward, like, understanding my own progress and being in my own progress, because really everybody is running in their own lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing about social media is we always see the most glamorous part of someone, either if they are the best in their field or they're not. But at the same time, we don't really have a view on their actual life. Like, they could have achieved a lot, at the moment, but they might have failed massively before they succeed. And because of social media, we will never be able to see what the reality of that person is, unless they're willing to share their story in terms of failing as well. Like, I guess the closest to us is like when we're looking at like medical students or doctors, we can look at their CVs like, wow, they've achieved so much that they must be like really good, and they would have never failed in whatever test or exam. But usually the reality is they have also failed a lot before. They just have the courage to continue and then, grind through it. So I guess even for the best, the life isn't as glamorous as it seems. And I guess it's really important for especially the younger generation to not just look at or not just appreciate the glamorous side of things, but also sometimes behind the glamorous life, there's the down and dirty.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. And I think, like, this is part I want to share about. So this is our second episode, and I guess if you've watched the first episode or even this episode, you know that we're medics, and if you didn't know, we're mature medics. So we finish a degree and then apply for medicine, and then now we're doing medicine. And I guess, a lot of people know I actually applied to medicine 5 times. So I only got in on my 5th time. And obviously no one will see that on my CV, or people who talk to me for the first time, they won't know, like, actually, they would just think, oh, like, I'm a medic and I'm really smart or whatever. But it's really not true. Like, I feel like I feel there's a, like, sometimes when we meet people, I think we kind of not fantasize, like, you kind of have this glamorous view of who they are in a way, because obviously they won't share with you all the failures that they've been through. But I applied to medicine like 5 times. I did the UCAT 3 times. Yeah, so I did many interviews, and I failed a lot. So I think it's a lot of times success does comes from a lot of failure that are happening behind the scene.
Yeah, and also I think in order to be successful in whatever field that you are, you're in, is I would say it's more valuable to learn from people's failure, like how they handle the failure, how they recompose themselves after the failure, and what they have learned from their own failure. Is like, obviously you don't want to fail massively every time in order to learn, right? But I guess the best way is to also learn from others' failure as well, because I guess failure gives you a much more valuable story to me than most success stories. Like for me, that's my second attempt in terms of applying to medicine, and previously, I guess my academic life has been quite calm sailing. I haven't really encountered any like huge obstacles until I applied to medicine the first time, where I got rejected by all four of the medical school. And I guess that incident really clicked me to think about why I have to do medicine, and do I want to do medicine anymore? Because I feel like if you're just really successful, or you're just sailing through everything like calmly, they wouldn't really give you any opportunities to, I guess, rethink your life decisions, or really have a really deep conversation with yourself, like why would I do something, or why should I pursue something. So I guess sometimes encountering failure could almost be like a catalyst for you to succeed later on, instead of just being like, oh, I'm miserable, I failed,
Yeah.
I'm just piece of crap.
Yeah, I think like when I was applying to medicine, by the fourth time when I have failed, I really gave up for quite a while. And then like through friends and family, I was like, I think I got the support and just the encouragement to do it like one last time.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, how do I put it? Sorry, you're saying. Oh yeah, I learned through that final application. I really learned a lot about myself.
Yeah.
Especially in a preparation. Like for example, like you need to do for me at least during it was really more than just taking the UCAT, like the exam. Like I learned a lot about myself by even just going to more than like 10 cities in the UK, like traveling alone, by looking at unis. And then when you're I think interviews are actually a great time for you to actually really reflect, because I always ask you, why do you want to do medicine? And then I kept thinking about that. Or when was the time you showed empathy? When is the time you showed courage? And yeah, and I think you learn a lot about yourself through failure. And I feel like it's such a accomplishment when you finally like get over the hump and go over to the other side. And I always look back, like whatever you failed at, the more you failed at something, and then when you turn it around, it becomes such a strength that you hold now. Because like when I look back now, as maybe I'm failing at, or I'm not doing very well at a current thing, I can always look back to the time when I applied to medicine 5 times, and that, which used to be something I felt quite ashamed about and quite embarrassed about, has now become a real source of strength for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think failure can sometimes bring you unexpected values. Like for me, like after failing my first, attempt into getting to medical school, I've chosen to pursue biomedical sciences first. And then at that time, I thought it's just a stupid idea, because I thought, oh, I have to spend 3 extra years to get a degree first in order to get into another degree. And then I wouldn't say I'm not like a biggest like science nerd, to be fair. Like I like science, but more on the clinical side, not really the basic science side. So at the time, I was like really viewing going to biomedical sciences as something to be slightly ashamed of, like because like deep down in like my heart, I thought I failed, So that's why I'm in biomedical sciences, not because I really want to do, biomed. But, after the first year in medical school, I actually
It helped you
found out
so much.
it have helped me so much. And
Yeah.
it made my preclinical years to be so much easier compared to someone that didn't do biomed.
Yeah, aka me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just realized that, wow, I've walked a path that I've never envisioned myself to walk, and it wasn't really my decision. Like, it's because of the failure that lead me into that way. But that unexpected turn have give me so much more strength than I was previously expecting. So I would say, yeah, like sometimes failure can give you a lot more than not failing. Obviously, you probably wouldn't look for failure. You wouldn't intentionally look for failure, but sometimes failure can be a good thing for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like I try to look at failure less on just more like as lessons. I feel like if you're someone who is striving, then whenever you're made a mistake or you failed at something, you're always like looking at ways to improve.
Yeah.
I feel like we do that a lot with for example, like with tennis, or for example with me, like you saw me like this time last year, the first 2 months, I struggled so much with my learning style. Like I used to do like ChatGPT and then like Anki only, and then it was through like not not being able to understand things during our Friday TBL where we do like multiple choice questions that I realized my learning style isn't working. And now I have a much better learning style because of that. And I feel like if you're able to turn your kind of recent failure, like just a misstep, into I can learn from this, then I feel like you're able to improve a lot. And I think, but I don't think I was always like that, because I think there were a lot of times when I was younger that I used to get really down myself. I used to feel very sorry for myself. I used to be like, oh, I can't do this. This is too hard. And I'll look at other people in my class, like they're just smarter and they're just better and they look so smart. And I think sometimes, I think that's really normal, especially when you're like younger.
Yeah,
but I
definitely.
think one thing that I realize is everybody has their own struggles, and even especially like in medical school, you'll see people who appear very, very intelligent, and some of them are, like. And also, I think one example I'll give is back in my chemistry degree, I remember going to my first tutorial, and then there was this guy that was just like, he knew everything. Like I just feel like he just gave off such a intelligent, like top of the class vibe. But then at the end of the year, I heard that he actually failed the exam and then he had to resit like first year. And I think and I think it will just I think sometimes people can give off that certain vibe, but it's not always so obvious, like who is really successful and who is not, in a way.
I really agree with that one, because I feel like a lot of the time we actually have to spend more attention on ourselves, like how we develop our, let's say, professional career, than trying to compare ourselves with the peers around us. Because like no matter if it's a facade or not, like there's success or failure doesn't really matter to you. At the end of the day, it's your own success and failure that matters. So I guess we just have to put way more attention into how well, let's say, how well we are learning, how well we are achieving, more than trying to say if I'm better than someone else, if I'm worse than someone else, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And also, like, going back to what you said about how you view failure, I think the way or the emotion you put into failure does really affect if you can succeed later on or not. Because I think a lot of the time, the most successful people, do see failure as an opportunity for them to learn, to, to judge something better, to, organize something better than just being a pure failure, a chance to be sorry, for your own self. Because a lot of the time, if you think negatively about something, it will become something negative to you. But if you can view something more positive, like if I view my failure, or let's say a small misstep, in a more positive way, such as, oh, now I know it doesn't work, so I can explore something else, or now I know which is the right path for me, that would be a lot more encouraging than just be, oh, I failed, it doesn't work, what the hell, because I guess being able to build a relatively positive mindset is just very important in general, because that's what drives you to, get better, to, transform yourself to a, better version,
Yeah.
instead of just being extremely negative and pessimistic.
Yeah, I think I felt that's a very developed way of looking at failure, and I don't know about you, but I wasn't always like
I
that.
wasn't when I was young as well.
So I want to give it. I think there's certain real reasons why for example, I used to feel very sorry for myself or be very down on myself when I was encountered with failure. I think in a way it's like it satisfies your ego of like, oh, I've tried my best, and if it didn't work, then I shouldn't do it anymore. Like I've like this is my best, and it's not my problem. It's the world's problem who doesn't who can't accept me. Or I feel like sometimes I feel like I think when I was a kid, I used to be, I don't think in school, like I feel like sometimes when I didn't get a good grade and I didn't appear to be super upset, my teacher would be like, you should be upset, or like you should be like, why are you still smiling? Because I'm a very smiley person.
Yeah.
And they'll be like you should be more serious about your learning. And I don't think I was not serious. It just I'm I'm just a smiley person. And I think because of that, actually growing up, sometimes I feel like I had to fake, or I had to add more negative emotion to react to my, quote unquote failure, or like not doing well on a test or whatever, so that people think I care. Yeah, but I think not anymore, obviously. I think now I understand that you don't need to, caring doesn't equal I need to be really, really upset at my
Yeah.
failure. It's more about the action that you put into it afterwards. Like, are you trying to problem solve? Are you just trying to sit there and, moan about it forever? I think it's okay to obviously feel negative and, feel and just, I don't complain about things. And I think that's really normal, but you shouldn't be at that state like forever. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. Because I think at the end of the day, you want to get something out of that incident, right?
Yeah.
If you're not getting anything out of the incident, that's a true failure, I would say, because you have given up learning or given up improving. And that's a very good opportunity for you to reflect on what you are doing well and what you're not doing well at the moment. And then I think, yeah, a very objective evaluation of what you're doing well and what you're not doing well is very important for you to have a healthy relationship with success and failure. Because I remember when I was in high school, all of my teachers are very focused on the score that you've lost, not the score that you have gained. Because if I get like 90, they will ask like, oh, what are the things that you would change in order to get the 10 points remaining? And I wouldn't say that's a wrong question, but at the same time, you have to be objectively evaluating the fact that you have already gotten 90 points. Like when I was younger, I was never really fulfilled by how many points that I've gotten, but how many points that I've lost. Like if I get 93, then I will think about, oh, I've lost 7 points. If I get 95, I will say, oh, I've lost 5 points. And I think it is a that sort of mindset, like by just looking at what you can improve, is actually more unhealthy than people have thought. Like I don't think my teachers are, intentionally cultivating that sort of thought process. But at the same time, we, I guess, as students, have to be mindful that we have to objectively evaluating or objectively evaluate our own performance based on how much you have got as well. It's okay to think about the points that you have lost, because that's, I guess, how you improved or how you achieve a point closer to perfection. But at the same time, you have to be relatively satisfied with how much you have gotten as well.
This really reminds me of, I feel like I think growing up, if you're like growing up in the Chinese culture, sometimes you're you're very motivated by the shame of like feeling you're not enough, if that makes sense. Like you're afraid of feeling not enough, or like you're afraid of not doing well enough, and that's what is motivating you. But it's a bit of a, you're like escaping from the negative, if that makes sense. Whereas I think a healthier way would be kind of just a positive way, like trying to achieve more instead of trying to not achieve less, I guess. I don't know if that makes
I think, like, I guess the East Asian culture, or more specifically the Chinese culture, is really, I guess, competitive. Like, you are constantly comparing yourself to others. So like this type of thought process really encourages you to do more purely to not be left behind. Like, I feel like everybody's doing so much, I have to catch up. Not because I really want to achieve whatever is in the end, but I just want to be at least, on par with others, or even better than others. Like, when I was younger, a lot of the drive actually is derived from purely trying to be better than others and feeling good about myself purely because I'm technically better than others. But I guess it's not a very sustainable way of thinking, because your drive is basically derived from a negative emotion, and if your entire drive is based on something negative, is not a very solid base. And I guess as we both grew up, and then I guess starting to see what the true value of stuff that we are doing is, and by pursuing the true value of, like, let's say in medicine, you're able to save lives. And if you are actually satisfied with, your career being based on saving lives, and you value the lives that you saved, that's a much more, I guess, a sustainable way of trying to push you to be better.
Yeah, I think if you try to keep comparing yourself to other people, it's always a moving goalpost. So you're never actually satisfied. And I felt that a lot. Like, because, okay, let's say you're the best in your school. Then there's still people in other schools that are going to be better.
So many schools out there.
Yeah, there's so many schools out there. There's so many people out there. You're never going to be like the best of the best of the best. And so if you keep comparing yourself to others, it's the moving goalpost, and you'll never feel satisfied, I think. And I think also that in terms of, I think we can share the perspective growing up, is I guess sometimes in Chinese culture, perfection becomes a standard.
Yeah.
So anything below that, you're either satisfying the standard.
You're just right there, being perfect, or anything is subpar,
which is expected, or everything is subpar. Yeah. And I feel like it's changing now. I think
it's definitely changing, because I guess there's much more emphasis on, like, mental health and being realistic, I guess, because I think if your standard is perfection, it's extremely unrealistic. And being able to have a realistic ideas of what you can potentially achieve, and set a realistic goal for yourself, like slightly above what you are at the moment, is an art, I would say. Because you are actually evaluating the whole situation and your own ability in order to create a goal where it cultivates growth instead of just trying to be like blindly perfect. There's no point to be perfect when you don't even know why you have to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just, again, it's so much more than just what you achieve in a certain area. Like, I think health is honestly one of the most important things that I think sometimes I've neglected in the past.
Yeah.
But when you don't have health, you really don't have like anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, like, within a semester, a lot of time I would sacrifice a little bit of sleep to study more or do something
Mm.
else. But when you got ill, you start to think, oh, I should have done this, I should have done
Yeah.
that. I
The studying doesn't matter
Yeah,
anymore
it
when
doesn't
you're
matter
ill.
when you're
Yeah.
ill. Like, I'm just on the bed like 14 hours a day and I can't study any content now.
Yeah.
I've been like sacrificing my health for like extra 4 hours, but now I'm actually losing like 20, 40 hours because I'm ill that week.
Yeah.
I guess especially for younger guys like us, we don't really value health enough until we actually lose it.
I've been valuing health a lot since I got to COVID. Unlike you, I sacrificed a bit of study for my sleep.
I mean, like, yeah, I guess for us, like, as like young adults, we have to be even more mindful that we have to care about our health, because when we don't see the problem with health, sometimes it's really hard to push ourselves to care about our health when we don't actually see the problems. Like, we need to be able to see, like, in 30 years, 40 years, if I don't have a good habit, like a good sleep habit, good eating habit, there can be a lot of problem down the line. So yeah, it's about, your vision long term.
Yeah, Warren Buffett talks about how you only get one, like your body is your one car in life, and you need to drive it till the end. So you want to really take care of it.
You don't want to push it like full throttle.
Yeah, and I think I think I kind of want to round it up. Like, I think that's why I asked you what your definition of success is at the start, because everybody has their own what they define as success and what they define as a life that they want to live. And I think that's very important. And you shouldn't really try to compare yourself to someone. For example, like, I really like David Goggins, but I'm not going to be running ultra marathons like that and living like a really intense life like that. And that's okay with me, because we're different. And I think, and metaphor I'll use is probably I feel like sometimes we're all, like, everybody in the world is in an arcade, but we're all playing our own game, and you're always trying to and then in life you'll have many different gates or different stations where like, of challenges that you need to get through. And there'll be times when you pause the game and you can look at other people, and maybe you're seeing them, oh, they're doing so well, or they're getting on so fast with the game, or sometimes slower, but you don't really see the progress that they made. And everybody has different challenges. Every day are born with different circumstances. And I think what I've learned and what I'm also trying to adhere to is that everybody has a different idea of what success is like, and it's you want to try to find your own and try to follow that, and don't be so, like, it's very hard, but try, have that in mind, so that when you're comparing yourself to other people, I think, which is very natural, that you can come back to, but I'm not, like, do you actually want to live their life? Like, sometimes I find myself being very like, like, they're traveling so much, or they're eating so much like nice food on social media. But do you actually want that? Like, that means maybe they're not studying medicine, or they have to eat as a job, and they have a camera with them constantly, and things like that. Like, you never actually want the whole 100% life of someone else, but life isn't like an a la carte where you can pick or choose. It's a set menu. And so I think in the end you'll realize you just want your own set menu, and you try to make that better.
I think it's a really good metaphor, especially like for me. I've looked into like other people's life, and if I ask myself, am I willing to switch myself for their life? Like, to accept the entirety of life, not just the glamorous part of the life. Every time I will say no. I'd rather keep my own body, my own life. I guess what that means to me is how other people view success and failure doesn't really matter. What matters is how you view success and failure, and is you that needs to have the clarity to understand what you are aiming for and what you're trying to avoid, and be able to live or adhere to the philosophy that you have in terms of life.
Yeah.
Like, others' opinion in terms of success doesn't really matter because you're not living their life and they're not living your life. You don't know their situation. They don't know your situation. So it's more valuable for yourself to have the clarity to understand what exactly am I looking for and what exactly do I want to avoid. Yeah. So it's only about you.
Yeah. Always, yeah, it's always your definition.
Yeah,
and it can change also throughout your life.
Yeah, it can change. It can change like based on your your age or what you have experienced, and there's no benchmark for success. Someone would say, like in the medical field, being consultant is the benchmark for success. But what's the reason of it? There's no point. You can have a very different definition of success in the medical field than I do. And it doesn't really matter. I am living my life and you are living your life. So it's more, you have to make the definition yourselves and be able to adhere to the definition most of the time.
Yeah. I feel that's a really good way for us to round out this. So thanks for coming up on another episode. I'm sure we'll see you again. A lot more throughout this year. Yeah. All right. Thanks guys for listening. And if you have any questions, just drop down in the comments and I'll reply to them. Or if you have anything question for him and for Anthony, and then I'll make sure he replies to those as well. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye bye.